Howdy folks, AG Squared here, and today I'm going to show how to replace one of these bathroom exhaust fans in a very easy DIY step-by-step guide. Here I am at one of my rental properties, and most homes are going to have these issues where the fans at some point stop working. And the product I love to use to replace some of these outdated fans is this ReVent product. To me, I've been using these for many years, and I've never had an issue with them, and also I love how easy they are to install. And they're also quite affordable, as you can see here. Now, when choosing what type of power to buy for a fan, you're going to want to get a sense of how large your bathroom is. Now, if you're dealing with a 50 square foot or smaller bathroom, this 50 CFM product is perfect for you. Otherwise, as you can see here in the image to the right, the bigger the bathroom, the more power you may need. So go ahead and make sure you pick up the one that is best suited for your bathroom. And the reason you want, by the way, a really functioning fan is because bathrooms are incredibly high in humidity due to all the water that takes place in the room. And the last thing you want after taking a hot shower to cause all potential issues such as mildew, mold, even the paint on the walls cracking and coming loose. It is a mess. So be sure you have a working fan in your bathroom. Once you open up the box, you're going to see very basic components. This here is essentially the light component and also effectively the cover that hides the fan. And it's made up of this sliding knob that lets you choose what type of light color you want. And that just simply has this port that's really easy to attach to the fan. And these clips here are essentially what are going to go inside of the fan's two plastic slots that you're going to see here. We're just simply going to slide those hooks in there, and that's going to keep the fan in place. And that's where we're going to put in the LED ports. And over here, we've got a total set of 5 wires. 2 ground wires, 1 for the light, 1 for the fan, and 2 hot black wires. And then, of course, the green wire for the ground. These components here come right out of the box. And trust me, I'm going to show you why these are amazing to work with. And for those outside of the US, no, these are not pretty standard. We still use a lot of wiring nuts in a lot of installation work. And this cover you see here is the template. If you realize that the hole that's already in your ceiling is smaller than what this template is highlighting, you're going to want to take an oscillating fan or one of those drywall cutters and make the hole larger based on the template size here. And before I forget, from the fan, you want to remove this plastic cover here before letting the fan run. And after removing it, you'll notice it has this little flapper damper thing, and that basically prevents things from going inside the fan when it's not on, and it opens up once the fan is producing airflow. All right, the very first thing we're going to do here is remove that dinosaur exhaust fan that no longer works, and to do so, we push those metal clips inward on both sides, and it easily comes right off. With this exposed, we get to see the old fan component. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to try pushing it upward. If I am able to move it and push it to the side and get access to the wiring components, I will need to get access to the attic or whatever's above here to be able to replace it. But if, like in my situation, you are unable to move this, that means it's stapled or screwed into the joist, and you're going to have to get up there to be able to replace it. This part is a pain. Now, if you've never been in your attic, be careful. Okay, not all attics have baseboards that allow you to walk naturally up there. Like mine that you'll see here shortly, I have to be very careful as I walk across all of the joists. But if you have baseboards, good on you. That is a great decision by the previous homeowner to install this. So here I am, I poke my head up, and the very first challenge we have to solve is find where the exhaust fan is. And with all the insulation, this can be a pain to do, but get a general sense of where the fan is located in direction to this attic and start making your way in that direction, keeping a close eye for what looks like a metal box, but it may also be covered on top of insulation. So this is ultimately where I found the box. What I had to do is make my way very carefully through all of these joists, and then finally was able to find the old exhaust fan you see here. We see the cable going inside of the box, and there are these staples are holding this thing on there nice and tight. And over here, this is really important, folks. You do not want the exhaust fan to just take all of the humidity in the bathroom and dump it out into the attic. That would just simply hide the problem and move it from the bathroom to the attic. Instead, you want to make sure that you have some kind of a duct that's attached to the fan, to some other type of metal duct, or simply to make sure that it is taking all that air and putting it outside of your attic, like we see in this case. Now, normally, I would try to slide this out if it wasn't very well attached, but in this case, it's under nice and tight thanks to that HVAC air duct tape. And so I'm going to have to come back to this and cut that tape and then reinstall it once I put in the new fan. Now, the very first thing I'm going to have to do is take the tools I have available and remove the staples. Trust me, folks, this was awful. Instead, I recommend you buy this product over here to make removing these staples a much easier time. And before we get to dealing with any of the electrical components, go back to your circuit breaker and make sure that the power is off. Now, the challenging thing here to keep in mind is because the fan wasn't working, how do I know that there's no power going into this fan? Well, first off, it will typically be the same breaker that powers your bathroom. So if you turn off the breaker that controls your bathroom, chances are you've done enough. But this is where you might want to have a tool to really be safe and make sure that there's no power being fed to this thing. Or you could do the irresponsible thing that I like to do when working on my own homes and just simply carefully remove the wires and then touch the neutral wire with a hot wire. And if there's no sparks, it's safe to go ahead and work on this. But to get access to all of those cables, depending on the old fan that you have, you may need to remove, like you see me doing here, this piece here, which connects to the cable's wiring. And so that's all I'm going to be doing here. I removed the nut to the hot wires, which are the black ones. I removed the nut from the white wires, which are the neutral wires. And lastly, I removed the nut from the green wires, which is the ground wires. And then after that, all I have to do is just take that cable that's being fed into the box and straighten things out. This is where you see me touching the neutral and the hot to make sure I won't electrocute myself. Nothing happened. It's safe to continue. So we remove that cable from the box, and now we're just going to toss that sucker in the side, forget all about it, just leave it there forever. It's not going to harm anyone. All right, with that removed, now what I'm going to be doing is taking off all of these plastic covers that protect the tips of all of these wires. So I'm going to be doing that for all of them, the white ones, the black ones, the green ones. We're not going to discriminate color here. We're removing it for all of them. And now comes using these awesome products to replace these horrible nuts that you saw me remove earlier. And it makes it a lot easier to just take the wire and slide it into a slot to create that secure connection. These to me are a lot more secure than wire nuts. And what comes out of the box are a total of 4 of them. We've got 2 red ones, which each one of them has 2 ports, and 2 yellow ones, where each one of them has 4 ports. And so we're going to grab our fan mower over here. And the very first set, oh, that damper that you just saw fall off, crap. We needed that, and it just fell down. I'm going to show you what that's for and how to install it, but all this means is I'm going to have to make a second trip down there to get that back. Bummer. Okay, let's continue making the connections. Like I said earlier, first one I'm going to connect is the ground wires, which has a total of 2, one from the cable, one from the fan. And because there's only 2 of them, we're going to be using the red component here to just simply slide them through the slots and then do a pull test to make sure that they are not loose and that they are under nice and secure. So I know that video didn't capture that very well. So I'm going to show you how I did it for some of these other wires. So here's the neutral wire. Just slide that all the way in, make sure it's all the way, and then take the other one, which is for the fan and the light, and same thing, slide that all the way in. Once those are all the way in, we take the neutral wire from the cable and slide that one all the way in. No more wires are neutral. That one's all done. Let's do the hot wires now. And you see me here pressing on the tips and then compressing it and pulling away. This is just me making sure that it's a lot easier to just thread them into the tiny slot and not have the threads become split. So once I get all of these fed in there, like I said, make sure to do a pull test so that all your wires are under secure. With all the electrical parts done, at this point, what I'm going to show how to do is how I secure this on top of the drywall on the ceiling. So what you're going to want to do with this particular product is take the metal tabs that you see at the bottom and slide them upwards like you see me doing here. Each side has a total of 4 small tabs and 1 in the center that's a lot larger. You're going to want to do this for all sides that are not touching a joist. So I already did it for the top side. We are not doing it for the left side here and moving the slots up. But I forgot not to do this, so I'm fixing this here. You do not want to slide up the long metal tab. Keep that pointing downward. I'll show you later why that's the case. The last side is the one closest to me. I'll finish pulling up all these 4 individual small metal tabs facing upward, and then gently place this on top of the wall. Now that we've got that in place, this part, I'll be honest, is optional. I don't always do this, but it gives confidence when you are able to take a screw and screw in the actual box through the metal slot that you have on it into the joist. In theory, you could do this for 2 holes on one side and 2 holes on the other side. But like I said, these are just additional measures, so all I'm going to be doing is screwing in 2 of these. I'm not going to worry about the other 2. That's not going anywhere, I assure you that. And before people on the internet really start roasting me, yes, in theory, you want to put this cable inside of some kind of a box to prevent someone from accidentally tripping over it, loosening the connections, or potentially preventing a rodent from biting the ends and causing some kind of an outage or fire. But folks, that is not going to happen. These are fine as is. But if you want to do everything to code, I encourage you to take a look at your local area's code and do things the right way. Now, this is the damper that fell off earlier in the video. Do y'all remember that? I ended up going back down there, picking it up, coming back into the attic, a whole pain. But once you get it, all you got to do is take that metal duct that we loosened earlier and slide it into it, and then take this type of HVAC sealer duct tape and really tighten it around so that you create a nice airtight seal that is going to be resistant to pretty hot air. Once you connect the duct to the damper, all we're going to do is take that damper and slide it right into the actual fan's output there. And same thing, if you put it in there all the way and then you do a pull test and it's too loose, go ahead and just tape that up with some of that HVAC duct tape sealant as well. Now, once we finish with this entire thing, make sure to take some of the insulation you had to remove to create a working space and put it back in this area here. All right, folks, we're done working in the attic. Thank God. It always sucks to work up there. So now we're going to go back downstairs. And from here, the very first thing I want to do is across all 4 sides, that long metal tab that we left alone at the top, pointing downward, we're now going to go through, and in each side, we're just going to push it outward so that it creates a nice hole to the ceiling drywall, like you see here. Once we finish doing that across all 4, what this guarantees us is that the fan's not going anywhere. Once again, it's just reinforcing to make sure it's on there nice and secure. Okay, that looks pretty good as we see here. We'll just finish this one last one, and we've got all 4 sides. That's all set to go. Now, these 4 metal corners we see here, make note of that. So what we're going to do now is take this plastic white cover, and we have to slide them inside within all 4 corners. This part I had to wrestle quite a bit with. So I don't make videos where I sugarcoat how easy this looks. This was a pain, but you have to wrestle with it, and this is the way it needs to look to be able to make it look nice and polished. Okay, now in this video, you won't see that white component because I forgot to put it on there when I was attaching this light, but I did leave it on there and just repeated what I'm showing here. I just want to show you because this gives you the best viewpoint on how to connect the actual light component. So we're going to grab the light LED port as we see here, and we're going to slide it in the right direction and just simply plug it into the 2 slots we see there. It does not require a lot of force. Simply slightly pushing it upward, you should hear a click, and then that's on there nice and secure. What we see here is the option of changing what color tone you want your light temperature to be. So if you prefer it to look a lot more of like a blue light, which is typically what you see in laboratories, slide it all the way up. If you want it to look very warm and welcoming, typically what you see in the living room, slide it all the way down. Find whatever you prefer. So now turn on the light switch to make sure that everything works. The light turns on, check. We hear the motor going, check. We've got all the electrical things wired correctly. Phew, thank goodness, right? All right, now that I'm going to choose what light I prefer, once I make my selection, now it's time to secure this piece to the fan itself. Like I mentioned at the beginning, that's what these metal clips are for. So I'm just going to grab both sides, pull them together, and then slide it, like I said earlier, into this metal slot here. And what that's going to do is once it's inside, you just let go, the hooks expand back up, and then they create that hole in there. And we're just going to do the same thing for the other side as you see here. Now, if you don't slide it all the way in enough and you let go, that's what happens here. It just kind of falls back down. So you really want to clip it all the way in, slide it up enough, let go, and then this is how you know that you installed it right. That's all there is to this, folks. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to give it a like and consider sharing it with your network. And if you're interested in more content around DIY projects, homeownership, or real estate, be sure to check out my channels. I've got a ton more content that I share with you all. As always, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and till next time.